Hey, good morning. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, Painkillers, and with your Painkillers Day 8 challenge. I am curious, how did it go yesterday? Did you get a chance to drink your 8 glasses of water? And if so, how did that work out for you? Were you making more trips to the bathroom? Were you making less? Did it make your body feel better in any way? It's going to take more than one day. If you haven't been a water drinker, it's going to take some time. I think it probably took me a couple months to actually line out and figure out what the best and easiest way was for me to consume the right amount of water for me. Other people that I talk to and people in my family will take like these Nalogen bottles. They'll take 4 or 5 of them with them during the day throughout their activities because they want to make sure they drink enough water. We happen to have awesome water in our well where I live, so it makes it a lot easier to consume water. But if you have to go get bottled water and you have to drink water to get enough into your body to make your body function well, then that's what you have to do. Do what you got to do to take care of yourself all the time. Well, let's jump right into today's topic. Today is all about thoughts, our thoughts. So you're probably thinking, well, Sharon, what the heck are you talking about? What do my thoughts have to do with the pain in my back? What do the thoughts have to do with the pain in my joints and the fact that I can't pick up my cup of coffee and sneak a drink because my fingers hurt so bad because of arthritis? What do my thoughts have to do with the pain I'm experiencing throughout my entire body with my fibromyalgia? What do my thoughts have to do with anything? And certainly, what do they have to do with my pain? Well, you may or may not have heard the saying that thoughts become things. And I'm not sure whether you agree with that saying or not. I would challenge you to test it out for yourself. I know for me personally, when I think about something a lot, it shows up in my life. If I think about something I want in my life a lot, it shows up in my life. If I think about something I don't want a lot in my life, it shows up. My biggest example of that is my sudden cardiac arrest. At the time, I was under incredible stress. I was having difficulties in pretty much every area of my life and was suing the city for a business dispute and a liquor license dispute in one of the businesses that I own. And I was telling myself and thinking every single day, probably thousands of times a day, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, I can't handle this, I don't know what to do. So that all manifested in a sudden cardiac arrest. I dropped dead, and of course at the time I didn't realize that that is a contributing factor, but I believe now that it was, because I was freaking out and stressed out, and I did repeat those sentences over and over and over again. I thought about them all the time. What happens when you think about something a lot, over and over and over again, it becomes a belief. So I think you need to test this for yourself, but I'm going to have you test it in a positive way. That's going to be our challenge. But I want to make a couple more comments about thoughts before we get there. So you don't have to even agree with me on that. If you don't, please research it, look into it, find out some more, study. Just do a Google search on thoughts. Type in thoughts become things and see what pops up. Read a couple of the incredible sources of information and wisdom that are out there in the world and see if that doesn't cause you to think a little bit differently. The whole topic of thoughts. We think, I can't remember the exact statistics, but I think it's like 83 or 86,000 different thoughts a day. And of those 83 or 86,000, like 72,000 or a huge percentage of them are negative. Automatically, our brain, and I think it's sort of a protection mechanism from our reptilian brain to keep us safe, but it automatically looks for the danger or the threat in just about everything that we're experiencing. So of the tens of thousands of thoughts we have a day, most of them are automatically negative. Now, people will tell you, you got to think positive, you got to think positive, you got to think positive. And I will say, yeah, no freaking way. When I am hurting and can't get out of bed, I'm not going to think positive. Positive thoughts are not going to pop into my head, or at least they don't usually pop into my head. They just don't, because I'm hurting, and pain to me is a negative thought, a negative emotion, a negative experience. I don't think pain is a positive. I mean, Motivational speakers will try to convince you that, oh, pain and stress can be a good thing. Well, yeah, they can be a good thing, but not if they're chronic. It's not a good thing. It's a warning sign. It's a negative thing. It's a danger signal. It's all about negative. And negative, positive, you can, tomato, tomato, whatever you want to call it, the vast majority of the things that we're experiencing, especially when we're in chronic pain, are negative thoughts. So what are you going to do about that? They're going to flow all the time. And people will tell you that you can stop that by thinking positive. And I'm going to say no, just positive thinking isn't going to be enough to turn the flow of that around so that it can positively impact you or impact me. At least I haven't found a way that actually works, that I can turn off my negative thoughts and just only think positive thoughts. Yeah, for a short period of time I can, like 36 seconds, but I certainly can't do it for 24 hours in a day. So we need to come up with different ways of dealing with those thoughts, knowing that they're going to come in. So my personal strategy is let them come in, let them flow out as fast as they come in. So negative thoughts, the sooner I can catch them and let them go, the better off I will be, because I'm not holding those negative feelings, those negative energies, those negative emotions that come with the negative thoughts in my body. The other thing is, a lot of times what helps me with that is I ask myself, okay, well, where is this particular negative thought coming from? For example, one of my relatives, a relative by marriage, is extremely prejudiced, super prejudiced. And it's a perfect example of this and thoughts becoming beliefs, because I don't think she has ever personally had any experience with the particular group of people that she's prejudiced against. I mean, she's never met them. She's never interacted with any of them. She's never had anything bad happen to her personally because of them. Yet she's extremely prejudiced against a particular group of people. And it drives me crazy because I don't understand it. Because I know that isn't her thoughts and her beliefs that she's living out. She's living out other people's thoughts and beliefs and experiences, primarily the news media and the way they blow things out of proportion. And it negatively impacts her life because those thoughts color everything that she is willing to experience and will see and think about. So now that I've studied and learned more about thoughts and how powerful they are, I like to question my thoughts a lot. If something comes in and I'm thinking about it, especially when it comes to politics or religion or prejudice or even things like work ethic, or I like to challenge those things and say, okay, where does that come from? Where did that come from? Where did I get that thought? And if I'm overhearing the news or I'm seeing something on the internet, I definitely say no. Just because it's there doesn't mean I am going to choose to think it, and I'm definitely not going to choose to believe it. I'm going to always question those things, including I question my own thoughts, my own beliefs. And it's always, do I really believe that? And is that thought right there, is that serving me or is it hurting me? If I am thinking about, for example, I woke up this morning and I got a little bit of the sniffles and kind of a headache, and my daughter has a super bad cold. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a cold. I got the sniffles. Here's the first sign. It's going to come out full-fledged. If I keep thinking that, guess what? By tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to be in bed sick because I will have accepted her germs and her cold. Now, do I have to? Absolutely not. Because sometimes I'll be around the kids and, for years, they would have colds and I would not be sick. I would not have a cold and I would never get that cold. So, do I want to think about getting sick or do I want to think about feeling healthy? I'm going to choose to think about feeling healthy. I'm going to have some green tea and some lemon and some emergency, and I'm not going to get sick. Number one, I don't have time to get sick. So I don't have any desire to get sick. I find that chronic pain and sick, like cold and flu, not a good combination. It's enough of a struggle just to get through my days. So the last thing I need is to add little germs and viruses and flus on top of that. But I could think about that. Well, now I know where that thought came from. The thought this morning of I'm getting a cold came from me knowing that my daughter has a cold, and the old belief, which where did that come from? From other people, that if you're around somebody with a cold, you've got to catch a cold. That's absolutely positively not true. And we can ask ourselves to look back in our own personal experience and think about a time that you've been around people that are sick that you didn't get sick. Why do doctors not die or catch everything that their patients have? It's because they know that, and it's just a level of knowing. They know that they're not going to get sick because it's not necessarily catchy. But if you think it can be catchy and you believe it can be catchy, then you can get it. So I'm not going to get a cold. I don't think it's catchy, and that's what I'm going to think about today. Because I've questioned, where does the thought come from that just because somebody in my household has a cold, I need to get it too? That's not a good one. It doesn't serve me very well. So if it doesn't serve me very well, I'm going to question it and say no to it. So the challenge isn't to try to change all of our negative thoughts to positive, or to, believe everything we hear, but it is to challenge our own thinking and our own thoughts, and just know that just because we think it doesn't mean it's true. Just because a lot of people think it doesn't mean it's true for me or for you. Just because a lot of people believe or think a particular thing doesn't make it right, doesn't make it true, doesn't mean it is the way things are or factual at all. It just means a lot of people have been convinced to think a certain thing. There's so many examples of that in our world. How many years did people believe the world was flat? And everybody believed the world was flat, right? Until Christopher Columbus sailed around the world and sailed to America, or wherever it was that he landed. Everybody believed it. So anyone that would argue against the world being flat was considered an idiot. Think of all the scientific things and thoughts that people have had, and people have been totally disrespected and ruined in their life and their careers because they had a different scientific thought than the norm of what was going on in society. The same is true for us. So somehow we want to influence the flow of our thoughts that are naturally occurring all the time, because guess what? Our brain never turns off, right? If our brain turned off, we'd be in trouble because, it'd be turn off the pain signals, but it would also turn off the breathing signals, all of the cellular function, and we don't want that to happen. So thank goodness our subconscious handles all those things for us. But we need to do what we can to influence the flow of the thoughts that are coming into us. You can do that a couple of different ways. You're probably asking, well, how the heck do I do that, Sharon? Here's how I do it. There's again, you can study and find out a gazillion ways, but I just want to share short little snippets of what and how you can do this so that it can positively impact your pain today. Not in 2 months after you've done a bunch of research, as you've researched through your pain, but now, something you can do right now. So one of the things, and the most powerful thing I have found to influence the quality of the thoughts that are flowing through me, is to think about what I freaking want. What I want, what I want, what I want. Not what I think I have, what I think I have to accept, what some doctors have told me, or some experts have told me, or some therapists or relatives, or, friends, frenemies, or whatever they're called, that think they know better than I do about what's going on in my body. So, I influence the flow of my thoughts as much as humanly possible by focusing on what I want. What I want? Perfect health. What I want? To live the life that I deserve and want to live. This gets a little tricky, especially with pain, because pain signals are so strong, they tend to, and those thoughts that the pain signals impact tend to be so strong and powerful, it is difficult to override them with the thoughts that we want. That's why focusing on what we want is so critical. Pain, if I say I want a pain-free day, this is a little tricky, but if I think about wanting a pain-free day, the problem with that is I'm still thinking about pain. So my thoughts are thinking pain, 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 and I'm getting more pain in my body and everywhere that I'm trying to think about it being pain-free, versus if I focus on perfect health. I want perfect health. I want energy. I want vitality. I want to be out and about in my world and in my life and out of my house, interacting with the people I love and care about, having awesome experiences. So I think about and I visualize and I imagine myself doing those things perfectly, automatically, normally. And I don't let the word pain or the thought of pain enter into those visions or thoughts hardly at all. Because I know that just the word pain is got a negative thought connotation for me. And so anyway, anything I can do to think about and avoid using that word, even at a subconscious level, helps me to feel better. I like to surround myself with things that make me feel good, people that make me feel good, experiences that make me feel good. And it's different. Again, here we see that it's different for each of us. That is the biggest struggle with how to deal with chronic pain, is there is not a one-size-fits-all. Here's the process. Go through this. Do these 5 steps or do these 3 steps, and your chronic pain will be gone forever. Because these 3 steps work for everybody. Guess what? Not so. It has taken me 37 years to figure out what works for me. Now, nobody needs to take 37 years to figure out what works for them. It just took me that long because, number one, I didn't believe I could, because I was buying into what the doctors and other people had told me, and experts, and that there was no hope, and that I would just have to live with it. And as long as I thought that, and I accepted those thoughts and beliefs of other people, they were right, because I made them so in my life. I made it true in my life that I couldn't get out of bed. I made it true in my life that I couldn't find the answer. I made it true in my life that I didn't know what to do. And it wasn't until I thought, I do know what to do. I do know that if I take and look for the answers, I will find them. I do know anything's possible. And so if anything is possible, it's certainly possible for me to reduce my chronic pain and live the life that I deserve, and live a much better life than I've been allowing myself to live. So surrounding yourself with things and people that make you feel good, because when you feel good, your pain is less. When I feel good, I feel a lot less pain than if I'm stressed out or worried or filled with fear or doubt or anxiety or depression. Any of those negative feelings just compound the pain, because pain is a negative feeling. So it all just adds upon itself, so that I've got this big negative pain pound pie over here, and that's all I can think about. And if that's all I can think about, that's all I'm going to get for results. So our challenge today, pretty easy one, and this is one I do myself, and I should go over to the refrigerator and grab my sheet, but your challenge is for today is to think and make a list of 10 things that make you feel good. So if you find yourself in one of these negative, super bad pain spiral thinking loops, you can look at this list, look at this piece of paper, and see your list of 10 things that make you feel good. You know, I've got actually, and then I want you to keep it with you or by you if you happen to, be bedridden or can't get out. But keep it with you. Keep that list with you, because again, 72,000 negative thoughts or something are gonna barrage you today. And the way to be prepared for that, the way to handle that, is to focus on what you want and to have a ready card or something at your call, at your fingertips, so that you can grab it and look at it, and it will instantly give you something else to think about. So I have a list of 10 things. I think it's 25 now on my refrigerator. I have one on my bathroom mirror. I have one by my bed. I have one I carry in my purse and wallet. I have one in my office. And they're not always the same list, because what I'm thinking about when I'm trying to figure out something on the computer that will cause me a pain in my head and my heart is different than what I'm thinking about when I'm laying in my bed. And so some of the things are the same, but they're not necessarily the same. And it doesn't matter what the things are. They're things that as soon as you see them on that list, it gives you that instant feeling of or love or gratitude. It just makes you feel better. So make that list. Make that list today. Try using it as these negative thoughts are barraging you, or as somebody's telling you how you should feel about your pain or your life or what's going on in your life. and how it's all in your head or your imagination or whatever ridiculous thing that people like to tell us with chronic pain, because, you know, they sprained their ankle once and they of course know what chronic pain is like, because it's just the same as spraining their ankle. Or tweaking their back for a week and being laid up for a week. Of course, they know exactly how it feels, right? So that's the challenge today. Make the list. Make the list of 10 things and see how that makes you feel. See how that impacts you. Remember to do the things that we've done already. Drink the water. Ask yourself the 5 whys. Asking yourself the 5 whys is a really good way to get out of a negative thought spiral too. Whatever works for you. I challenge you to go out, think about what's in your best interests. And reducing pain is in all of our best interests. And it's, you know, just think, if we could reduce and get rid of all the chronic pain in the planet, what a better world we would live in. If people in pain aren't happy, they're you know, we tend to be miserable. And if you're miserable, how can you positively impact the world and the people around you? Pretty darn hard to do. So, do this today. Write it down. See if it doesn't help stem the flow of some of those negative thoughts and turn them to positive. When you catch yourself feeling the negative thoughts, look at your list or think about what you want. Really focus about what you want. And make sure that and I break it down to one sentence. I make it one sentence. This is what I want. And when I hear or feel a bunch of negative thoughts coming in and like pain signals, I'm like, I have perfect health. I'm loving experiencing perfect health. Perfect health is my birthright. I deserve perfect health. And I will say phrases like that over and over and over again to just stop that chronic pain signal in its tracks. Go out, think positive, happy thoughts, get them flowing in your life, and I will, of course, see you tomorrow with day 9. Bye.